Hello, my name is Andreas. I'm going to teach you how to use Digital Publishing Suite from Adobe. There are different solutions on the market for digital publishing. I'm going to show you a few. Adobe Digital Publishing Suite is the one we'll be traveling throughout this sequence of videos. And there's also something called Digital Publishing Solution from Adobe, which is the newest, the new black. And then there's Mac Plus, a digital publishing app made for easy use. You can use either of these three. I'll be teaching a bit in all of them, but in these videos it will be Adobe Digital Publishing Suite, which has been the leading app for building digital publishing documents since Adobe Digital Publishing Suite was released back around CS5 or so. For the lessons I'll be going through, I have used pictures found inside of Colorbox. I have a membership there. You can use Colorbox yourself. If you're a student, you can get a free account for use only at school. If you're not a student, it will cost you money to use these pictures. Anyways, it will always cost money if they're used in a non-school related manner. Okay, so let's go into InDesign. This is my desktop. It normally looks a bit more messy than this. Opening up InDesign, I have here with me the folio builder. This is gonna be installed if you go to check your cloud and see which kind of InDesign you have installed on your computer. Most likely, if you're like into the most current, you have on your computer InDesign CC2014. What you need to have installed in order to use Adobe Digital Publishing Suite is actually InDesign CC2014 or previous versions before that. So in order to do so, I'm just gonna flip this latest version to not show latest versions, and instead I'm not gonna view previous versions as well, but find additional apps. And in here you're able to locate any version of InDesign all the way back to CS6. So go in there, get CC2014, because you're not able to use the folio builder and the folio overlays that you'll need for creating digital publishing inside of InDesign unless you go back to CC2014. So CC2015 cannot be used. So I'm just gonna install this, and it's already installed on my computer. After installing it, I'll go to a home page. I'm just gonna take the easy way there. You cannot do that if you don't have 2014 installed with the DPS builder tools, but I'm just gonna take the easy way because I know I can click here. You cannot do that unless you have this installed on your computer. Okay, so the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite is located at, and this is an address that's worth remembering, digitalpublishing.acrobat.com. Here you'll click Get Started, and it will ask you to sign in. So I'm just gonna sign in. Okay, so I'm not good enough for you. Let's try again. Anno. There we go. And in here you'll need to click on this Get DPS tool, Get Digital Publishing Tool. So I'm just gonna click it, and here you'll need to get it for either Mac or for Windows. I'm using a Mac, so I'll get it through this. When you go here, you'll have to choose from a variety of different plugin files. Of course, if you have 2014 now installed on your computer, get the DPS tools for InDesign CC2014. If it's CS6 you're using, get that one. If it's CC, you know, the one prior to 2014, get that one. And if it's 2015, just forget about it. It's not gonna work. It's just gonna say, hello, I will not work on your computer. So don't even waste time and effort on fetching this one. It's not gonna help you. Adobe is focusing on using this one instead, Adobe Digital Publishing Solution, for the future. So using Adobe Digital Publishing Suite is for 2014 and backwards. There's nothing wrong about using it from 2014 or backwards. It's still a great solution for making digital publishing. And if you have the cloud, you can always just fetch whatever version you want all the way back to CS6. Okay, so next off, let's go back to InDesign. When I have installed the DPS tool on my tools on my computer, I'll suddenly have inside of my window, I'll have this one called the Folio Builder and the Folio Overlays. On some computers, the Folio Overlays will be named Overlays and located alphabetically next to Output. So it may be down here by Output Overlays. So, but on my computer it's Folio Builder and Folio Overlays. Okay, so what the DPS tools do is install these two panels I just showed you, and aside from that, it's also going to install the possibility of making folios on your computer. File, new folio, and it's going to install the Adobe Content Viewer on your computer, which will be required in order to preview documents made for digital publishing. Okay, so in order to get the correct workspace, we'll also need to do some changes. Perhaps you're already located in just the regular essentials, and if that's so, we'll need to switch to digital publishing. I'm just going to reset mine in order to show you how it would normally look for you. So I'm going to say Window Workspace Reset Digital Publishing, or just do it over here instead. Okay, when that is done and I'm located on digital publishing, I'll see that my workspace looks like this. I'm just gonna expand my tools so they take out two columns. Then I'm gonna check out what's over here on my right. Okay, so animation and timing, you're not gonna be able to use those two. They will be able to be used if you're using In5. I'm just going to type that. If you're using In5, which is made by Ajar Productions, you will be able to use animations inside of InDesign when making digital publishing documents. This program itself, this plugin, costs a lot, so unless you really plan on doing a lot of business inside of InDesign when it comes to creating animations inside your digital publishing documents, I recommend just ignoring the animation and timing panel. Though if you really want to, you'll know that it's there. It's called In5. It's made by Ajar Productions. Okay, Edge Animate is a program made by Adobe, and it's made for making animations. So you can just make animations in Edge Animate, and you can just place them inside of your InDesign documents, and they can be created so they are able to go inside of a digital publishing document. So that's Adobe Edge Animate. There's also something called image sequence, which is a slight version of what you can create with animations in general inside of InDesign, but we have the possibility of creating some animations using image sequence. So that's something you have inside of InDesign already, and I'll show you that later on. So we do have some slight possibilities when it comes to animation. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna close this down. So remove the animation and the timing panel. You're not gonna use it. All of these other different panels we could use actually. This one called Liquid Layout, I suggest you research it yourself, because here you have a lot of possibility for refitting your design depending on which kind of device you're on. If it's a mobile phone which has a very low dimension set to it, perhaps Liquid Layout would be a nice feature to include inside of your document, so you know that it rescales to fit the screen even though it's a very small screen. We're not gonna get into this, so this is on your own account researching this topic. So I'm gonna close this down. Someone is yelling outside. Okay. So aside from that, we have media. This can be used in order to use a poster for our video files. We can use object states to create slideshows, as in with regular interactive PDF documents. We can use some of the buttons and forms. Actually, here we are able to create, I'm just going to create a new document. Actually, here with the buttons, we're able to create these type of buttons. We can create go to last page, go to first page, and go to a specific page. We cannot use the go to next page, go to previous page. So go to first page, go to last page, go to page. And none of these located down by PDF only can be used inside of our inside of our digital publishing document. For our slideshows, it's possible to go to next state, go to previous state, and go to state. It's also possible to use the sound and video feature, but I'll show you something else that's normally better instead of using the button sound and video. Go to URL is also possible, and there are some different URLs which are important to remember. Of course, you can write HTTP and write whatever URL you want. Let's say youtube.com. That might be a valid address. Or you could write mail to and just write an email address. Remember always when you're done writing in the URL to hit enter, otherwise it will most likely not save whatever you typed in there. Aside from mail to, there's also some other standards. Just one second, I'll find them. You can also do it to HTML resources, like that. And you can do it to ITMS, that's iTunes, just whatever address you know there's good music on iTunes. And finally the nav2, which is probably the most awesome feature inside of your digital publishing documents. The nav2 will make you able to jump from one article to another article inside of your folio. Just gonna delete that. And so these are the buttons we can use. The rollover will normally not have any effect inside of a digital publishing document. The click function right here of the appearance can have a visual, can do something visually to your document when you click, when you tap on something. But the rollover, you're not going to roll over anything because it's going to be your fingers you're sliding forth and back, and so rolling over will actually just make you perhaps switch the page, and not, so you won't be rolling over a button like you do with a mouse. This is supposed to be something that you use on a device like an iPhone or an iPad, so you're not rolling across some kind of button in order to get a rollover. Instead, you're probably clicking on it. Okay, so I would suggest when using interactive documents for PDF, I normally suggest giving the names to the buttons and so on. I would probably only do so when creating a slideshow in my document, because you can't really see any of the names, descriptions and so on you gave to them inside of digital publishing documents. So it's just to keep some kind of order or structure inside of your document that you would ever do it to object states, because object states can be huge. So in order not to get confused, perhaps you would want buttons inside of object states to have names. Otherwise, I just leave them at button 1, button 2, button 3 and so on. Hyperlinks can be used. Research them at own will. You have a lot of features in here. They can be used and quite effectively. So folio overlays and folio builder is what we'll really be looking at. Folio overlays is actually just when you want to make something into a video, or if you want to include sound, if you want to make a panorama, if you want to put some animation inside of here, you're going to use folio overlays. So let's call this the effects panel. It's kind of like an effects panel where you can add stuff to your objects. The folio builder you'll be using all the time. This is where you create the folio that you will upload into the cloud, onto the Adobe Content Viewer. So you can actually watch how does it work on my Android device, how does it work on my Apple device, and so on. You see inside of my folio, I already got a folio which is located locally on my computer. It's called UCN School. That's just the name I gave it, and it's with the dimension 1024 times 768. So all the documents inside of here must be those same dimensions in order for them to work when you create a document. So if one of these documents is not the right size, 1024 times 768, it's not gonna work. It will simply either not upload to the cloud, or it will simply not work when trying to test it on your device. If you want to test stuff, you can, and you have something already made, well, you can always click down here in the preview area and just choose preview on desktop. Doing this will open up Adobe Content Viewer, and you'll be ready to check out how it works. And so here you can see it's working smooth. And when you're using the Adobe Content Viewer on your computer, simulating that you're swiping will actually mean that you have to click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, and that's trying to simulate actually when you swipe on your mobile device. I'm just gonna close this one down and close this document down. So now we have the correct setup. If you want to save this setup as your own, this workflow, this panel setup as you have right here, you can just go to Window Workspace, say new workspace and call this one My Digital Publishing. Click OK. Now it will be located here permanently, My Digital Publishing. Until of course you start deleting workspaces. Okay, so next off I'll show you how to create a document for digital publishing. File, new, document. Okay, so inside of here we have the possibility of creating documents for different intentions. This intention will be digital publishing, so we're gonna flip it to be digital publishing. We're not gonna reflow the text, so no point in using primary text frame, but you could do that if it was for long books, a book related file. This will be mostly graphic design related, so I'm just gonna put this to 36 pixel. It's just a random amount, but I feel that's great for 1024 times 768 as margins for that dimensions. The orientation is going to be landscape. That's my preference, but perhaps you would prefer in general to use portrait format. We're going to use both orientations later on. I'm going to show you how to do so. Bleed and slug set to 0, 0. So I'm going to click OK to this, but before doing so I'll just say save document preset, My Digital Publishing documents, meaning that when I click OK and I go to create a new document in the future, I can just switch it from using the preset right here to using the new one, My Digital Publishing documents. And then you don't have to write all these unnecessary things again. So you just click OK and you have a document with the exact same settings. I'm going to close this down. Okay, so why should you create it for iPad? Well, first off, making it iPad dimensions is gonna will fit to almost any kind of device. Of course, it will not fit precisely, but it will be the format which is the most fitting to other devices. So even though you're watching this iPad document on an Android phone, it's gonna look nice. I can just actually try showing it out. Just 1 second. Okay, so this is how it will look. Don't know if you're able to see it on the screen, but this is how it will look on an Android device. There will be black bars out here because it's not able to go all the way out to the edge, but it's still quite close to the edge. I also made this so that it's dual oriented, so you'll actually be able to see it differently if you turn the screen. Yeah. Okay, so iPad, I suggest in general just to be your standard format, because the other devices will adapt to that format. On the other hand, if you're using one of the other devices, the iPad will have and iPhone will have a hard time readjusting to the other formats. So just in general, stick with iPad dimensions 1024 times 768. Yeah, and I know iPad Retina uses higher dimensions, but still it's the same ratio. That's what it's all about, the same ratio. So the iPad Retina will be the double value of these two values. Okay, I'm gonna just click cancel. And okay, so you have one more choice, which is to create the document. so that it can be facing both horizontal and vertical. And for some weird reason, my InDesign is naming my iPad horizontal letter V, so I'm just going to rename that by clicking once on letter V in the Pages panel. This is the Pages panel. I'm going to type iPad H, meaning iPad horizontal. It's most likely going to say iPad H already on your computer. I don't know what's up with mine. And just next to the name, I'm going to click on this arrow right here. Going to choose Create Alternative Layout. It's going to suggest it to be an iPad V vertical. And okay, so we want to link the stories. So if I wrote something on this page, it will be linked to that page, meaning if I type something different on my horizontal page, it's going to update on my vertical page, so we have the same text going on both pages. If I made any paragraph styles, I would also want to include those. Copy text styles to new style groups. And smart text reflow, I'm going to switch that off because I'm not going to use any kind of reflowing. Okay, so here we got liquid page rules as well. You can examine that yourself if you want, because this is a huge topic in itself. I'm just gonna choose this to be fine. I'm gonna click OK, and now we have two different formats. You would first create this second format when you're done designing the first format. So when you create the iPad horizontal format, you should finish the design totally. Be done with it. So everything is designed and ready. Then you create the alternative layout. I'm just going to show you why. Because if I start designing something on iPad horizontal right now, you notice that nothing arrives on iPad vertical. So these are totally separated and have no relation to each other. So it's like just assigning two different documents that have nothing to do with each other. So I'll just delete this one and make sure that my design is part of the iPad vertical. So it's gonna be a simple exercise, this one. Just create a rectangle, put some black in there, and also just add some text. So I'll just create a text box and I'll fill it with some random text, and that will create a beautiful document. Okay, so let's say this is the finished design. Then I'll go create an alternative layout and click OK. And then when you go to iPad vertical, I'm going to double click iPad vertical right here, and you'll notice that, okay, then I just need to reshape this. My text is linked to the first page, meaning if I do some changes on my horizontal page, it's going to do those changes as well on the vertical page. So if you're like, yeah, okay, I don't believe you, Andreas, I'll just show you. Okay, we'll go here. We'll just do some weird change. We're going to make some of this text change. Let's say we're going to change it to some really ugly font, and notice that when I go to the next page, it hasn't changed. But if you wanted to, you can just see here, it said I want to be relinked, I want to be updated. So if you click that icon, it's gonna update itself, and you'll see that yes, indeed it changed. And so if I decided that this except pro vidus should not be there, I should change it on the first page, because this is not the page which is linked. The iPad vertical is the linked page. You'll notice that by it always complaining about the text being edited, and you'll just click that warning sign and you'll see that there's a link here saying that this page is linked to the horizontal page. And if you do any changes to the text, you can also see it actually inside of the links panel. There has been a change inside of the text. So please double click to update. Okay. So that's how you use multiple orientations. You need to decide from the start, do I want to have a document? Do I want to have a folio which supports just one orientation? Or do I want to have a folio which supports two? One for landscape, one for vertical, or just one for landscape. You could also make one just for portrait format if you wanted to. But you need to decide, is it two orientation or is it one orientation? Because when you create your folio, you will be asked, is this landscape only folio, is this portrait only folio, or is it both? If you then, let's say you choose both, if you then have 4 files uploaded which uses both portrait and landscape, and then you upload a 5th file which is only landscape, then that file will actually make the folio invalid. Then you'll not be able to upload the folio and you will not be able to see it on your mobile device. So really make sure that you have chosen correctly. Is this going to be a landscape only, or is it going to be both landscape and portrait? Okay, so you remember that now. Okay, cool. So in this video we're going to be working with landscape only folio. But I showed in front of class how we create portrait and landscape folios as well. I'm not going to make a video about that because I just told you, just remember to make both orientations inside of each and every document you make for your digital publishing. And I would like to get some sleep tonight at some point, so I'm not going to show both how to create an entire folio with one orientation and one with 2 orientations. You're just going to live with that. You have to think out of the box and just remember what Andreas said, create a folio which supports whatever need you have, and then remember to follow that need. Always multiple page size, page orientations. If you selected a folio with multiple, always one orientation if you selected one that only supports one orientation. Okay, so I'm actually gonna delete this sucker right here. Yes, remove thyself. And before I start showing how this actually works, the folio builder, let's take a small break. Thank you.